Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix, Sileo, Tales of a New Dawn. Sorry, I had brain fart right there. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, you can go to Patreon, which is $5 a month, $54 a year. So, on the last Let's Play, we went to sleep, which only took a second, and then it became day 15, where we went to the diner, where we talked with Diego and Jay about various things, like our escapades yesterday, and how Jay and Eric kind of do their thing together. Oh, and also did a bet whether, Diego could finish the platter, which he could not. But yep. We're meeting Ty here today, as evidenced by him being here. And I'm gonna reset my face. Let's start. Adrian, what a surprise. What? You invited me here? Indeed I did, but only mere minutes ago. Surely you must have been here already. Yeah, I couldn't handle another of Diego's greasy breakfasts, so I came here for breakfast instead. Weird coincidence that this is where you chose to meet. I have taken quite a shine to this cafe, and naturally, Jay and I are acquainted as well. But on the topic of Diego, I don't suppose you have heard of him recently? He was due to start work, you see. Oh, no, not at all. You know Diego, probably running behind as always. I'm sure you're right. His time management skills are simply dreadful. Well, if it isn't Ty, the lead singer of the newly reformed and greatest rock band on the planet, the Black Claws. Huh. If we are indeed the best, it's thanks to your inclusion. As much as I adore the flattery, it won't score you a discount. What'll it be? Just a coffee for me, thank you. A strong one. Adrian, would you like anything? It'll be on my tab. Question mark? Had Ty seriously offered to pay for my order? After everything that happened? Why? Was he trying to butter me up or something? Or perhaps he has an ulterior motive, after all. But what could it possibly be? If he thought he could win me back after everything that happened, he was sorely mistaken. Part of me still wanted that, but the right answer would always be no, regardless of what he might say. Adrian? No, thank you. Great. One strong coffee. Coming right up. I think coffee does sound good right now. How are you feeling? I cannot imagine you got much sleep. It was after 3 when I finally got a hold of you. I'd be lying to say if I wasn't tired. Thanks for reminding me about tiredness. Yeah. Diego was extra grizzly this morning too. I'm sure you know how he gets. Indeed, hence I usually have him working during the evenings. Looking over, I noticed the ring around Ty's neck. He had been wearing it on the day we broke up, but everything going on at the time, I had not asked him about it. What better time than now? I've been meaning to ask, where'd you get that ring from? Oh, this? Grasping the ring, which hung loosely from his neck between his thumb and his forefinger, Ty took a brief moment to admire the luster before responding to my question. It has actually been in my possession for around 20 years now. It is something of a family heirloom. I had lent it to a friend. Lent it? For... what for? Are they getting a similar one made or something? Not exactly. It is... well, it is complicated, I suppose. Of course it is. Things are far from eerily cheerful. Almost as though there was nothing amiss between us. Of course I know better, and was growing impatient. Now is not the time to break the ice. This ice would likely never be broken. Why did you ask me to come here, Ty? Oh, it is as I said last night. I was hoping we could reach an understanding. One without so much bad blood between us. Then, let's cut the chit-chat and get on with it. This isn't pleasant enough without dragging out further. I understand. 1 extra strong coffee, as requested. There's enough caffeine in here to keep you awake for a week. Goodness, I hope not. Thank you, Jay. Would you mind? Of course, say no more. I shall give you two some space. Thank you, Jay. It is my pleasure. Good luck, gentlemen. Thanks, Jay. As Jay once again departed from our table, Ty adjusted in the seat, showing an uncharacteristic nervousness. You got here quickly. I suppose you came straight from the bar? Indeed, you're as observant as ever. I had intended to have the day off, but Russell seems to have taken a liking to a certain fighter in combat tournament and wanted to watch his bout with Axel. I couldn't rightly refuse. I sent you the message immediately after Russell arrived, freeing me up to leave. Which reminds me, until Diego arrives, Russell is running the show all on his own. You sure seem to trust him an awful lot, giving out who he is. Indeed, perhaps it's a little foolish of me, but there's something about Russell. I cannot rightly explain it, but I know that he can be trusted. He's a brisk learner, and with his array of talents, I'm sure he will handle things well. If so, I have plenty of time on my hands. Goodness knows I could use it. The day the Black Claws reunion draws closer, day by day, and I'm struggling to write a new song. What seems to be the issue? I suppose I've lost my muse, in a sense, but I'm sure that it is not what you want to hear. It's a shame that, with all this free time, things could not have been different. Did you ask me to put on your moves? Try to sweet-talk me into taking you back like last time? No. No, I asked you to meet me. Then, what is it? I get the general idea, but you wouldn't have called me here unless there was something specific you wanted to tell me, right? Indeed. My apologies. I'd hoped to disperse with the formalities and get straight to the matter at hand. But seeing your face again, hearing your voice again, you remind me of how much I still care, and I still consider you a friend. I do not rightly know how to respond. With Ty instead enjoying a sip of his freshly made coffee, to bridge the silence, he cleared his throat and adjusted his posture, clasping his hands together as his beautiful violet eyes veered directly into me. It is hard to know where to begin. I would have imagined this conversation 1,000 times over my head. Imagine every word and every outcome. But faced with the reality, I am at a loss for words. Perhaps there's something you'd like to say, to get the ball rolling, as it were. It's unlike you to be speechless, usually so measured and deliberate. Indeed, this is more difficult than I could have imagined. It goes to show you how much you meant to me, how much you still mean to me, but still not as much as your secrets. And before you open your mouth, I know, you're doing it for the right reasons. You wish you could tell me. The truth, you could get somebody hurt. You said it all before, but it doesn't change anything. I know. Worst part is, even if I could tell you, truth is stranger than fiction. You won't think it's an elaborate story to conceal other motives. No, you would think it's an elaborate story to conceal other motives. You simply would not believe me. And even then, it's a difficult truth to process. So I'm kind of wondering if it actually is vampires. Like sexual vampires? I don't know. You never know. You may be pleasantly surprised. Perhaps earlier on, I might have been, but I broke your trust. I squandered your faith, and such a tale demands both of those things. Time for that is long past, and even then, it is a secret I promise to take to my grave. I do not take the commitment lightly. Promise too. Spencer? All of this has to do with him, isn't it? Adrian, you know I cannot say, I am sorry. Of course not. I don't know what I expected, but what I do know is that I know my worth, and know that I deserve better than being kept in ignorance. I never lied about my feelings for you, Adrian, and I know, You do deserve better. You are worth more. I could not agree more. But the only thing more important than others knowing than uh, but the only thing more important than others knowing your value is knowing it yourself. Far too often do people simply remain in deep, unhappy relationships, perhaps due to financial pressures and the conveniencies of cohabitation. Perhaps it is a fear of confrontation. Perhaps, despite their misery, they still genuinely love the person they are with, even more than they love themselves. Or maybe they cling on in fear of being alone. I've been alone for years. I'm perfectly fine. Lies. Anyways, I've known several men throughout my life whose self-worth and self-esteem hinge entirely on their outward perception of their romantic success, where their misery behind closed doors was worth enduring to perpetuate that hollow illusion. What are you getting at? We had some rough patches, but I would hardly call our brief time together an unhappy relationship. You're right, nor would I, but if you had endured, remained willfully ignorant in fear of loneliness, in fear of perception of romantic failure, or anything else, I realize now that I would quickly have become one. The situation I put you in was unfair. I should have never expected you to permit such secrecy. It was so very foolish of me. I should have known better, but alas, these circumstances are unprecedented. I'd hoped to handle things better, but instead, things got carried away in very short order. But when faced with such inequitable scenario, you stood up for yourself. You cast aside your feelings, your fears, and your ego, and defiant unhappiness. You planted fair boundaries and enforced those boundaries when crossed without compromise. We were in deadlock. Our individual boundaries, commitments, principles, none of which were unreasonable in isolation, came into conflict in the context of a romantic relationship. Sorry, need to do a reading on. And in the face of the unacceptable, you did not back down. You respected your worth and chose to be happy instead. I just want you to know that I'm proud of you, Adrian. Okay, I was like, wait, what is this noise in game? No, it's just somebody driving a loud car or bike. You did the best possible thing for yourself, and sometimes that can be the hardest thing to do. I have nothing but respect for your decision, and I support it wholeheartedly. You did the right thing. What? He was proud of me? Why? I mean, I knew why, but this felt wrong. Our conversation was not supposed to be this way. These weren't the words I'd hoped to hear. My heart began to pound my chest as Ty continued. Okay, there is a heartbeat sound. To do what you've done is a valuable skill that will serve you well in the years to come. A bright romantic future awaits you. Those who stand tall and refuse to accept anything less than what they realistically deserve. Realistically. It might be a lonely road at times, and there may be many more failed relationships like ours, but never, ever compromise on your principles. Never act out of desperation, loneliness, or fear. Continue standing strong, and happiness will find you, I can promise. You are a wonderful man, Adrian. You're going to make another lucky man very happy someday. For the short time we've shared together, you certainly did so for me. I made him happy? He made me happy too. So happy. I used to grin like an idiot just thinking about him. And we shared so many good times, created so many good memories in such a short-lived romance. Yeah, very short-lived. And no matter what happens, I'll always care about you. I harbor no ill will towards you. Even though you may not care for it, you will always have me in your corner. If you ever need anything, anything at all, do not hesitate to call upon me. It's the least I can do. I suppose that covers the broad strokes of what I want to say. I could sit here for hours, working through my scattered thoughts, but I know you would rather get this over with, and I would hate to outstay our welcome. A single coffee hardly justifies occupying the table for very long. With that in mind, let us quickly settle our professional affairs. I understand you have resigned from the bar, and will respect your resignation, but know that you're welcome back at any time should you change your mind. My door will always be open to you. Of course, I understand your return will be a little more than a foolish dream on my part. With that in mind, Lucas and I have spoken, and he informs me that a sizable contract might be coming up shortly. It's yet to be set in stone, but should it eventuate, Lucas will offer you full-time hours for the duration. He'll also consider the possibility of permanent hours. However, with the nature of his work, it strictly depends on business, so please bear that in mind. In the interim, I'll continue paying you the usual for the next 3 weeks to help bridge the gap. Why can't most employees be like this? Please consider it a parting gift. I do not require your presence. Why? I don't need your money. Because I want to. Because I would hate for you to go hungry. And because I know I can never undo the pain that I've caused. There is not a single thing I can do that would ease my guilty conscience. But this way, at least I've done something. If only things could have been different. If only we had met several years ago. If only I hadn't made the foolish mistakes which led us to this point. I am a fool, and I reap what I sow. Such is the reality of it all. I know these words carry little weight, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry, Adrian, for everything. I didn't know what to say, what to think, how I feel. I feel numb, conflicted, entirely overcome. A part of me wanted to echo his apology with one of my own, but for reasons I struggled to comprehend. Part of me wanted to walk away in silence. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to cry. Yet, in the face of such formidable emotion, all I could do was sit here, my vision blurred, as our shared silence was filled by the bustle of the cafe. With a bittersweet smile of finality, Ty rose to his feet, before gazing back at me expectantly. I did not know what he wanted, nor if it were something I could want. But in the absence of such knowledge, I followed suit. I finally standing a half meter in front of him, as he smiled once again before holding out his striped hand. As if my body were an autopilot, I matched his gesture, grasping his hand and shaking a firm and decisive handshake. The look of sadness and guilt in his eyes was obvious, his attempts to conceal it fruitless. What could I say? What could I possibly say? Thank you for everything, Adrian. I will cherish this time we spent together. You have a bright future ahead of you, and I wish you the very best. You too. What could I say? What should I do? Until we meet again, my dear. With that same sorrowful smile, Ty disappeared into fog? Okay. Ty gently released his grip before turning tail. With every step he took, the distance between us grew. I went to chase him, grab his hand, and beg him to stay. I cry as he nuzzled into his soft neck, my tears wiped away by his gentle fingers. Watched him walk away, was somehow the hardest thing I'd ever done. It was at that moment I realized something. I love that man. I loved him more than words could express, and I never even had the chance to tell him. Oh, why do you have to make me feel emotions, game? I could do a little but remain frozen in place, my vision growing blurry as my eyes filled with tears. As the sliding door gave way, Ty was little more than a smearing blob on the orange and blue, which quickly disappeared from my sight as the tears began to run down my cheeks. The bustle of cafe had given way to uncomfortable silence as every set of eyes focused squarely on my shameful display. Adrian? I loved him, Jay. I loved him. And I never even told him. It's okay. Come. Come with me this way. I'd have to make you feel sad, game. I have to get tissues. Not for the usual reasons. Actually, let me blow my nose for a hot second. I guess we can continue on since 21 minutes. At least for like one thing. The following moments were little more than a blur, and not only because of my tear-soaked eyes. Jay had quickly come to my rescue. He escorted me through the back of the premises, with begrudging reproof from his boss. He then led me to the car and escorted me home. Upon arrival, I retreated directly to my bedroom, where I crawled beneath the safety and warmth of my covers. By now, I had mostly regained composure, but felt no motivation to be anywhere or do anything else. Jay was certainly an interesting person. Despite some questionable habits and hobbies, he well and truly had the gift of gab, in addition to a distinctive sense of warmth and empathy. We were little more than acquaintances, yet in those moments I felt genuinely cared for. Now, I'm sorry to ask you again, but are you sure you're alright? Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. Now you know I don't believe that. You're gonna have to be a lot more convincing before I leave you on your own. Sounds to me like you don't have much of a choice. Your boss didn't seem thrilled when you told him that what you were doing. Yeah, I'd already had time off this morning for the tournament. I can't rightly blame him. Oh, that's right, the quarterfinals today, right? How'd you do? Got matched with a cute otter. Almost felt bad for beating him like that. Nicely done. Congratulations. But that means you definitely can't afford to stick around. Your boss would flip. I never said that I would be staying now, did I? I happen to be acquainted with a certain rodent who I'm certain would drop everything to offer his impassioned support. Fuck. Oh, hell no. I refuse to be dragged along to another strip club. You couldn't subject me to that, would you? I won't, but only if you can convince me that you're okay. I said I'm fine. I don't know else what you want for me to say. Not convinced. My irritated growl fell flat, merely eliciting a laugh from my Ortegan associate. I knew that he was teasing, but the prospect of Eric's company was much too terrifying to even consider. Alright, I believe you, but doesn't mean I won't be available should you need me. Requiring no permission, Jay collected my phone from the bedside table and held it back to back with his own to swap contact cards. Following a ping of successful share, he returned my phone to its original position off to my side. There. If you need anything, you've got my number. I'm working until 5. We've got band practice tonight, but still, call or text me if you need anything, okay? Of course, there's no way in hell I would be dragging him out of work, or practice to dry my tears. As much as I appreciate his concern, I would not be taking him up on his offer, nonetheless. I got the sense that arguing at this point would be futile, thus I merely agreed. Thank you, Jay. I'll keep that in mind. I know a lie when I see one. Don't you dare be too stubborn or proud to accept my offer, or else send the rat. Please, please, God, don't send the rat. The look on your face, Eric sure made an impression. Well then, I'll be on my way. Look after yourself, okay? Perhaps a nap is in order. You were up rather late last night. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Past time until Diego finishes the shift. Great. Be sure to let me know what you're doing. You can bet your ass I'll be hounding you if I hear anything. Will do. Thanks, Jay. Anytime, Adrian. I sighed to fill the newfound silence. I felt like a total fool with everyone. Ever seen me break down like that. Sorry, it's a reading on. I had been incredibly fortunate that Jay had been there, that Ty had chosen that specific location, embarrassment aside. Perhaps it had been the very reason he'd chosen that location? Jay certainly hadn't said anything. I doubt he was in on it, but perhaps. I shook the thought from my head, unwilling to delve down the rabbit hole of conspiracy, instead focusing solely on my emotions. As it happened, Diego had been right after all. The cork had been pulled, and it hurt. It hurt more than words could describe. At some point, I had fallen in love with Ty, and now I had to come to terms with the fact that he's gone. For the first time, it truly felt like the end. Worse yet, Ty's words had made it impossible to come crawling back. If I did, it would be the wrong thing. It would be an act of putting my loneliness, my desperation, my grief ahead of my values, my dignity, and my own self-worth. Oh, it's really gone! Ty would know this, and Ty would refuse it. Was it possible to win him back? If so, how? What could I possibly do? What could I possibly say? As I lay there in bed, the tears resumed, dampening my pillow, as exhaustion slowly got the better of me. I missed him. I missed him so much. And with that main scene change, I think we're going to call it. So, end of this Let's Play. So comment, guys, like, comments. No, it's a scene change. It still counts. Tell me what you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and like to grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out the rest of Epic Girl. Please remember to ban new and will help control them ban my nation. And if you're interested in playing this game, it's available free on itch.io, but if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, you can go to Patreon, which is $5 a month, $54 a year. And until next time, let's make me, GamerWolfSix, Sileo, Tales of a New Dawn. So thanks and see ya.